Welcome back. It's now the new year. Got rained out, so I didn't get to finish last weekend. That's why I'm back now. Actually, last weekend what happened and all was I got all the way here, which is a few miles. I figured about 15, 20. Stopped. Actually, I had left my car here just as a sort of safety measure, you know, in case I wanted to drop out. Guess I must have taken the key out. And what happened was a rainstorm actually started up about the time I got back here. So what started happening was my car started sliding down down this hill, which is just generally a bad thing. I would have had to wait until summer to get back up. So yeah, this was actually a lot rougher when I was on my way out then. So I could have just done some movie magic and pretended there was no break or seam, just that I had never given up, but you know, I just don't care that much. So instead, shoot, got the tripod. Instead, it's now the new year. It's been a whole year since I last tried to film something. So since it's been raining for a while, there's, you know, raining and freezing and raining and freezing. There's no way on earth I can dig any sort of a hole. There's no way on earth I can possibly make a fire from the wood we have just around here, so I'm not doing that. Instead, later tonight, I will show off how to properly use iron sights when it's dark. Let's see. Oh yeah, and this is the other reason I left last weekend, because this doesn't seem to be as bright as it should be. Actually, I can't remember the last time I changed the batteries on this. That might be a contributing factor. Oh. A while ago. Yeah. So the Dutch, the English, many things, but mostly MREs. I think in effect what I said is MREs are not food, and people who try to stock them up as survival food deserve to die. Which is actually true on arguably both counts. See, what an MRE is it's plastic and sugar. It's designed to trick your body into thinking that it's getting nutrition so that you can keep walking until you get actual food. It's like cow ears that have been rendered down to a more chemically stable version of fat in a government laboratory and packaged with sugar cookies to keep your body from literally eating itself. They're not food, but they are basically grown-up trail mix. So, you just need something to keep you on your feet while you're walking. MREs are actually not a bad choice, except for the fact that they taste fucking awful. So, alcohol. I actually had a little bit last weekend before I got started moving, which is why my speech was less slurred and I appeared more alert. But alcohol is medicine. You know, there's that old myth that a lot of people have heard about drinking alcohol to keep you warm. A lot of people will also know that that's a dumb idea and you shouldn't do it, because all that's doing is drawing body heat from your core and moving it out to your extremities by opening up blood vessels. And that's where you get kind of a little bit of a thing, you know? It's kind of a myth, it's kind of not a myth. It'll warm up your ears and your nose and your toes, but it'll also cool the rest of you down. So a good rule of thumb is, don't do it. Don't drink when you're outside. It's, you know. But also, it can help you if you've gotten wet feet and it's cold out, or you're just sitting down at the end of the day and you've just gotten a fire started but you're still a little bit chilly. Any other time, no, not a good idea. Especially if your entire body is wet or all of you feels cold. That's all I had to say on that topic. Also, now, let's go hang someone. It's a joke. You can't see my face because I forgot to move the camera, but that's a joke. So, what I'm going to try and show you how to do is just make a little seat for yourself out of a rope and hang out in a tree while you just take a little nap. Obviously, you would ordinarily go more towards the top of the tree instead of just hanging out on the bottom, but I don't have a cameraman or production quality, so I'm just gonna do a shitty half-assed job of making a Swiss seat of some sort. You should go to someone else to learn how to tie things together. Someone's gonna come along that road just as I get this thing up. Just you mark my words. My arm's caught. Oh. Yeah, but seriously though, I'm stuck. Oh. It actually kind of hurts. God damn. You might ask, hey, instead of breaking your rope, why don't you just go up there and unfuck your knots? I broke a tree branch, so I actually can't do that now. And my sentimental attachment to K-bars should not be interpreted as any sort of endorsement. Frankly, Olean's Knife Company of New York, you fucking suck. So I'm gonna go take a nap in the car. If you want some rope, there's a free rope. Right, so I'm not gonna do that because I dropped my car key somewhere between. What I am gonna do is have a cigar because it's been fucking 3 months since I smoked and I deserve it. I'm having a bad day. The only thing left in my wallet are dollar bills. So I can't even call a fucking tow truck. And I look like I work part-time as a male stripper. And frankly, I might have been able to pull off that look a few years ago. But not at this point, it really just sends the wrong message. You know? So, actually, it's not bad. So instead, we're gonna go bird watching. Because I don't know what else to do with my life. I've just completely lost control. This situation has rapidly gone from not great to to me walking through a field with a camera, falling down every time I take a step, smoking. So, so there are many bird species. I think the Nicaraguan slaves who rolled this may have put something else in here other than tobacco. Yeah, geese didn't fly south this year. There's some of them out there now, but they've begun leaving because I'm apparently frightening. Vaguely unsettling, even. It's actually kind of funny, because a few years ago, that river would be frozen over right now. Yeah. Well. Anyway, I'm gonna sleep on the picnic bench down there. I really don't know what to do with myself on the weekends, you know. Frankly, I was hoping that having a camera with me would just prevent me from going somewhere and doing something really dumb, because, you know, no one likes to carry a... Ooh. It's a blue jay. Yeah, no one likes to carry a camera with them, so frankly I hoped I would just not go very far. I did find... Yeah, I found my car key. It was in one of my other pockets. But I did lose my wallet. Somewhere. So, there's nothing but dollar bills in there anyway, so. This is the gritty Rain Man sequel that America has been asking for. Yeah. I don't really consider myself any sort of environmentalist, but I do like the environment because, you know, it's pretty. It's at times like these I remember my first choice of career. Imitate my favorite Canadian national hero, the Mad Norwegian. For those of you who haven't heard the story, the Mad Norwegian was a man who settled in Canada from God knows where. No one knows anything about him other than the fact that he really liked collecting firearms in obscure calibers. Possibly because those were just the various calibers he knew he would always have access to, and may not have felt comfortable just carrying a single caliber. But yeah, no, that was just some crazy guy who went out and built a cabin in the middle of nowhere. Then killed basically the entirety of the RCMP when they tried to get him to pay taxes or something, I don't know. Actually, no one knows if he was Norwegian. The only thing anyone ever heard from him was his high-pitched and frightening laughter echoing back out of the darkness as he slaughtered the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in the firelight from his own burning house. But, you know, great guy, probably. Yeah, sadly that's not really a career these days, a hobby at best, so. Yeah. Yeah, no, seriously, I'd love to just have empty land, build a cabin, do pretty much nothing else, you know? Yeah, I'm not kidding. This is pretty strong. But yeah, no, I remember as a kid, lying in bed at about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and listening to the trees in the backyard splinter and sort of crack. the temperature went from 10 degrees above zero to 10 degrees below zero in the space of about a minute. You used to be able to walk on all of these rivers and lakes up here. You used to have ice about 3 or 4 feet thick, all the way across, from November all the way through to March. I don't think even the lakes froze over this year. It'll be kind of fun seeing what impact that has on farming, you know, as food prices rapidly skyrocket. I don't know. Suppose we'll be able to grow tobacco in more northern latitudes. That'll be nice. Well, darkness in just a few hours. Single time. This has been several weeks in the making now. I've always been either busy or busy. Shit. But for tonight, finally getting this done. I have everything I need. Taking a shot to liven up my phraseology, and plus it's my time now, motherfucker. You know what they say, you know, moon's out, fun's out. Unless it's moon's out, guns out. I don't know. One of those two phrases is in common use. So, what I'm doing now is I've waited until the morning as opposed to going out at night to be a little bit considerate. I'm glad I did. It is a beautiful morning out. It is just past 5 a.m. and not sure how cold it is, but my mustache is frozen. After about not even 100 feet from the car. No, more than that, but it's chilly. It's just lovely, fresh powder snow on the ground. This is what winter is supposed to be like. You can even see the stars. And also the full moon. But yeah, it is gorgeous out here. Just not sure how much you can see, because I'm manhandling the camera on a tripod and also keeping this handy. So, the game plan is finish up what I set out to do, which is, you know, film myself missing something several times in the dark, and then leave. Start editing this. So, now then, last week and the week before, you saw me trying to tie myself into a tree. And actually that's not, you know, it looks goofy because I can't work with rope. And I was tired as hell when I tried to do that. But it's actually a pretty good way to defend yourself against cougars, you know. Once a woman gets into her 30s, the upper arm strength just isn't really there. Also a good mountain lion defense, because mountain lions are ambush predators. They won't attack something that looks strong, something that looks armed, and they typically won't attack something that's higher up than them. They don't like to climb to reach their food, though they can. Bears also, and they will climb to get you, but they're less likely to, and less likely to have a good measure of success doing it. Then, you saw me smoking a cigar, and I should explain that also. I'm not really a smoker. I don't do it often, but I do keep a couple cigars in a plastic baggie inside my pack for when I do decide to go outdoors, because tobacco is, as it has sometimes been called, God's weed. Insects hate it. Large predatory animals that are not humans also hate it. So in the summer months, it's good to have a little bit of good tobacco to smoke if you're in an area with a lot of mosquitoes. Even ticks sometimes won't latch onto you in as great of numbers. And hungry animals, well, smell travels pretty well. You may not think so because you're primarily if you're watching a YouTube video, you're most likely human, and therefore most likely primarily a visual hunter, but smell travels really well. So it's good to smell strongly of deodorant, soap, shaving stuff, or tobacco. It announces to anything that's in your way that you might be coming. Helps them get out of the way if they don't want to see you. Now I'm looking for Adele. Not the singer, but the geological feature. It's over there. You know, there's a trail to get to it. Because the edge of that dell is going to serve as our backstop. It is beautiful out at night, and a lot of natural light too. So that's good. Means you might actually see something, but I don't know how high the contrast is on this camera. We shall see. Yeah, so when I was here last, I also walked down some of these trails, check them ahead of time. Found a bear trap. I think someone's trying to keep the retards out of the woods, and that's not worked because I'm here. So he either needs more bear traps or he just needs to hide them better. I think we've missed the turnoff going to the dell. Actually reminds me of my favorite Northwoods horror story, or horror story animal, the Wendigo, which is just cool as fuck. You should hear about it first from someone other than me, because I suck at telling everything from stories and jokes to directions. But the basic synopsis of what a Wendigo is, or is supposed to be, is a predatory cannibal spirit that preys on humans. Sort of like a Indian vampire. Doesn't drink blood though, it just fucking eats you. And the interesting thing is, every Indian tribe from the north of New England all the way to Alaska has their own name for it and their own stories about it. Wendigo is taken from Algonquin, or Algonquin. Literally means man-eater. So, the origin of Wendigos is someone who's out here in all this white stuff and doesn't have a lot to eat. Winters get long up here, or they used to. Every now and again, you'd have someone who would just run out of food and decide, hey, I'm not dying today. I'll do anything to make that happen. The first Western recording of a supposed Wendigo would be in the 18th century. I believe it was mid to late 18th century. The French had a bit of a head start on exploring this area. That's why this place is called Eau Claire. But the British were really interested in the fur trade up here. Further north, by Lake Superior. So, I suppose it would have been around 1740 something, 1750, they sent an expedition up there. That expedition was supposed to report on everything they found. Basically, give the British an idea of where to send the next group of explorers. Oh shit, I'm running out of space on the card. God damn it. So I'll be back next weekend, but for now, that group of British explorers, they got all the way to the western end of the lake, and then they got, a little bit snowed in. The lake gets stormy in the winter, so stormy that it's considered impassable completely. And game around the edge of the lake is somewhat scarce. So, well, they were stuck without food. Fortunately, they had two things: Indian guides and a helpful, friendly local Frenchman. This Frenchman, he seemed a bit odd. But the British thought, hey, A, he's a Frenchman, B, being out here for so long, that'd make anybody a bit weird. So, the British decided they'd give him the benefit of the doubt. They were hungry, so they took what he was offering, some dried meat. The Indian guide said, no, don't do it. If ever I've seen a Wendigo, this man is it. But the British really didn't care for Indian superstition. As far as they were concerned, this was just some weird French trapper who'd gotten himself lost. Or lost while returning to his cabin, which is the story they gave him. So, of course, they ate together. They decided eventually to go their separate ways. The Frenchman didn't like this. The Frenchman thought they should come home with him. He was really, really very insistent about it, to the point that even the English thought it was odd. So they did eventually follow him home. Of course, their job was to see everything, report on everything.